So.
Did you play
What did I walk into?
Yeah, we played against each other all the
Really?
time.
Do you remember playing against him?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. We ran games back in the time.
All the time.
He said, what, you guys probably both FFA kids, right? So.
Well, I mean, Walsh started FFA kid maybe in Halo 1, would you say? Because what was that first good Halo 1 team? Team FFA, right?
Yeah. That was my
Zios?
first team I won a tournament with. Yeah.
I remember
Team
that.
FFA.
Yeah. But I was a young lad. I was like 15 years old, I think, and I somehow ended up in your lobby. I think maybe Mikowski was the one that got me in, and then I got like second or third, and then you added me to your friends list. I was like, dude, Walshy just added me to his friends list. Like, you're just immediately added me, and then we played FFAs almost every day after that.
Dude, friends lists in Halo 2 were ruthless. I'd be like, man, this person hasn't been on in 17 hours. They're not dedicated. Pick them off the friends list, add somebody new on.
Okay.
Yeah, I was never off for more than 17 hours, so maybe that's what kept me safe on your friends list.
So it's funny, what had power back in the day. It's now it's all about Twitter followers or whatever clout thing is driven. But back in the day, it's
I was just there to
friends
grind. I was
list.
like, I want people that are on and gaming, and yeah, I was just like, yeah. Truly, at some points, I would be like, nothing against you, but you've been offline for 2 days. Later, you can hit me up later, and maybe I'll re-add, and then I'll play the shuffle one more time.
I think if it wasn't for you getting me into those early FFA lobbies, I would not have developed into a good player as quickly as I did, at least, right? Like, it just helps to get reps against good
back
players.
then especially, it was all driven around custom games. I mean, you didn't really have the same sort of MLG playlist practice, and so, yeah you had to, find your way in those circles, because obviously it's just way easier to get better when you're playing against better people.
For sure.
Yeah, it's it feels like these days it's not as easy to network yourself into a lobby. Before, it was probably just this guy's pretty good at matchmaking. I'm just gonna play a couple games.
I would say probably equally challenging. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I think I've always been in kind of different scenarios since I first got in through the LAN portion through Halo 1, and then that carried over to Halo 2, and so on and so forth. And so some people ask for advice, how do I do this and this? I'm like, I could speculate, but I'll be honest with you, I had just a different path and different
It's
things
such
I
a
had to go against.
different time. You can't even compare the two. I think the one constant, though, is networking is always going to be important. If you want to, work your way up the ranks, you've got to get yourself out there, be known, talk to people, expand the different players that you play with. So
yeah, and I think that's one thing too. Is I see, I always hear the word networking thrown around, and I like and dislike the word. On one part, it's how are you generally making different friends within gaming, and and enjoying your time there. And I'll see a lot of people if they come out to some of their first events, they'll just instantly be like, well, my goal at this event is to get loosened on my friends list. And it's well, maybe that's a great goal to have at some point, but go find other people who are in the open bracket similar level to you, or at least a couple steps ahead of you, and start there, and try to make some friends, find out people you can maybe run some games with, and
yeah, don't immediately shoot for the top. Everybody kind of worked their way one step at a time. But wow, how have you been enjoying the action this weekend? Any surprises for you? Any major talking points?
I mean, it's got to be Pure and Shopify Rebellion. Pure more so, for sure. I think we all knew Shopify were, I'd say most everyone had them in their top 4. And this was them just kind of solidifying that. No, it wasn't just luck or anything in London. It's us being the real deal.
Yeah.
And then Pure, I feel like Pure is almost like a spitting replica of them in some ways, where it's just this non-stop aggressive play style that these top pros and top big 3 are having trouble with. They're having to match firepower versus firepower and win these crazy 1v1s, whereas most of the time they're playing this more methodical teamwork-based game, and they're not afraid to challenge those 1v1s, and they're looking for them.
Yeah, they're very disruptive play styles, is what I've noticed.
Best way to describe that.
They don't allow these more structure-oriented teams to get into their comfort zone, and they're just throwing curveballs constantly. And you got to keep up with their pace if you're gonna win the game against them.
Yeah, and that's always how it's been too in Halo. At some points, the people at the top are generally some of the best individually talented players out there. But then you start to lose some of those muscle memories or some of those skills. You're not used to fighting these obscure angles. I'm not jumping into a fight and being in a spot where I have to shoot up high at somebody like this or down low at somebody like this, in a free for all.
Right.
Because you're more structured. You're more moving around the map with purpose.
Yeah.
And some of these players, like you said now, are especially from like here in Shopify, they're like, nope, let's bring it back. Let's bring back some of these crazy angles and crazy fights.
Force them out of their comfort zone is a big deal in this game. But so far, Space Station looking incredible this weekend. OpTic obviously playing extremely strong as well. Space Station got more games to work with, though, because they won the winner's side. So how do you see this one playing out? You favoring SSG right now, or what do you think?
I mean, seeing how Lucid and crew were playing in that elimination finals, I was just like, all right, when you have anyone, like whether it's FaZe, Space Station, or OpTic, and you have like their superstars like a Renegade going off, a Stellar, or a Lucid going off, you're like, okay, that team's probably going to win this game or those series.
Yeah.
Now, is he able to keep that same sort of pace throughout a very, very potential long series with a bracket reset if they're supposed to do this? I don't know. But that was already just showing a lot of life for me from OpTic, giving a lot of confidence that this isn't going to be an easy series for Space Station. And generally, if you get to a spot where it's a reset, you're basically on even footing there. It's like, I would say neither Space Station nor OpTic are favored in a spot where it resets unless OpTic are coming through with so much momentum.
This is OpTic's been just tenacious at getting to this hill. Space Station not able to set up at all. And easy capture. Dead Zone really impressing me this game. Dude, like, he's had a quietly great tournament. Like, obviously the talk's been on Lucid largely from the last series, and like Horrible had a great series before that, but Dead Zone coming in, I'd love to see him get his first ring on this OpTic roster.
I don't think you were on the desk when I was sitting with Boo Boo, Talik, and Cherish, but they said a stat that I didn't know, that Dead Zone has the longest top 3 streak ever, I think, right now. Because like
all the players in Infinite?
In Infinite, yeah. So like
that checks out, yeah.
Yeah, because
that makes sense.
The times that the teams got top 6, because all the top 3 have fallen into top 6 at some point, but it was never when Dead Zone was on the team.
Yeah.
So very impressive stat from him. He's a Sunday player. He plays his best on Sunday, and today's no different.
And it's weird too, because it's like both Dead Zone and Lucid both got like overkills, both had incredible sprees, and he's just not as flashy as people would think, but like he's always making smart plays time and time again, always in the right spot, giving himself those advantages. I saw 2 different times here on Livefire when they were playing earlier, and it was like he was hiding up over in top tower, and I believe he got like a flank on mental. The second time he's hiding in rat tunnel, and I believe he got no scope by suppressed. But same time, it's just like those are just smart plays. It's not like he has to get the first, like has to drastically outshoot somebody or come from a disadvantage. Instead, he's just like consistently put himself in an advantageous spot, or like just dealing damage across the map that his teammates are taking, that they're capitalizing on.
There's a lot of proactivity in his gameplay so that he doesn't have to make a hero play to come back. It's like what's really interesting is when there's a highlight reel moment, it's often because someone was in a bad spot and then found a miraculous way out of it. But if you're always in a good spot, you might not produce as many of those highlight clips. So, interesting talking points here. Eco's been really good with the sniper this weekend.
Smart to right off.
Yeah, he's like, I don't. He said, yeah.
I saw what happened last time when that did not get played here on Livefire.
Yeah.
Ain't about to repeat history.
Doesn't want that overkill situation again. That was one of the sickest overkills we've seen, period, in Halo Infinite. Yeah. OpTic still in the lead. Space Station looking pretty good on this hill, though. We got great positions. It's so hard to break into this. One team's got green control and tower control. How are you possibly going to break through? They probably got eyes on the pillar door.
And it's so tough to like flush him out of there too. Like even if you get what do you consider the best spots here to flush him out of green? Like someone at those pillars, someone at sandbags, and someone at like
big
garage door, a big door. It's like even then you some point have to cross a very open field, or that player at green has to overextend. So it's just too powerful of a position.
It's a lot of resources.
When played right. Yeah,
a lot of resources, and usually you have to like find a battery somewhere to like push your way through. And frustrating.
Yeah.
But OpTic were able to get to that hill, find that break, and because Space Station was set up so well over on the other side, like they just let Camo go. So like theoretically, this could start to be the same run for OpTic. Like Lucid's going back into the power press spot. He's got the QT with him now. If they can find these next slays on
Camo
Space Station.
QT. Don't often see this.
He doesn't trigger it. He just knew he had the lead on that fight and just didn't realize when he lost the lead on the fight. You miss that shot or two and you're just like, wait a second.
And there's the activation time too. It's like maybe it was a bit too late for him to activate it as well.
The combination of input delay plus the activation time in game like makes you think that you're gonna get away, and most of the times you just don't.
Yeah, people forget that, like, yeah, your shots hit harder on land, but you also die faster on land.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you always
biggest-
forget both ways. You're just like, man, my shots are registering. You're like, oh, man, I'm dying a lot quicker than I thought I would.
I always remember that was the biggest adjustment, especially back in the day, because
Halo 2 and Halo 3 for certain.
the netcode was worse than it is now. Like just internet in general wasn't as high quality, so the adjustment was massive. Your shots are going to be perfect, but so are your opponents. You're going to die instantly.
Whoa. How did Legend just do that? I guess the punch, because I noticed that the punching now, it seems to give momentum to the other player sometimes. You get punched, you just get shoved in the air sometimes, and it seems like Legend just got thrown over the head.
I'm also noticing, like, less frequent full-on trades. Like, it used to just be always a guaranteed trade as soon as it like went to the first melee. And now some players either they get that slight spacing or, like, they're able to get their second melee off faster than the other person gets their second melee off.
Right, yeah.
It's almost the opposite, where we'd never see any bandit trades, and now we see all the bandit trades and no more of those like straight up melee trades.
Yeah.
Okay, Space Station get the lead. Only 50 seconds.
Yeah, for sure a time play here.
This hill you can lock down. This is definitely not slam dunk, let's play time situation.
Well, I feel like if I'm Space Station, I just send everything to tower. Like, for me, it's like you're going to lose this hill, but you can win rotation next.
Yeah, like you want to play the insurance. Like you want to always have presence tower in the event that OpTic does cap this.
OpTic's like full committing for camouflage. They're going to make their push off this camo player.
This is super interesting, too. Nobody from Space Station's anywhere near green. They're all, like, nest at the closest or over at big door / bags at the closest. And I guess it makes sense. They're just going to try to take over those two areas. And there they get the kills. And that's going to be Formal
rough.
falling down. And that's tough because, like, he knew his teammates were going to spawn all the way across the map.
Yeah.
He's like, do I jump in the hill a little bit later or do I just do it right away? And this one's going to be Space Station up 3-1. Once you get into 3-1 territory, that is rough. Like,
I can't think of many times a team has come back in the grand final like this. So
it's surprising because of how dominant game 1 was from OpTic too. Like,
yeah.
The bounce back from Space Station is crazy.
Yeah, and Space Station able to, like, just bring it back like that. They're sitting around most of these series, you know, they play their Winners Bracket Finals, and then they have a break, and then they're coming back in. A lot of times they're like, sometimes it's really helpful to get in that groove and play series, little break, series, little break.
Oh, yeah. Look at this. Space Station, not one player gets up. OpTic all going to the rest.
I don't know if I agree with that.
I don't know. I kind of like it because I feel like when you're in the zone and in the mode, like, you almost, like, don't want to change things up. Whereas, like, if your team just lost a couple games, like, all right, everyone get up, shake it
Change
up.
the energy a little bit.
Yeah, change it a little bit. Like, maybe switch seats or something. Do a little something different.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like the question should be asked of, like, is it just as simple as, do I have to go to the bathroom?
Right.
It's like, is my bladder full? It's like, no, okay, let's just stay.
Dave, did you have a chance to look at all the patch notes for the game on Tuesday?
I did not.
Okay, so they're slowing the
Fill me
bandit
in.
down. Biggest probably ticket item. They're bringing the damage over time effect back to the disruptor. So you remember how it had like the ticking effect in Combine? That's going to come back, but it's also nerfed in some aspects, so not as broken as before. They're bringing back nade impulse jumping.
I remember hearing that. I remember
cool.
like seeing Uni and Hines kind of talking through it a little bit, but I was on the side getting ready to go back in the desk, so I wasn't fully hearing it as I was like talking to some other people. But I heard nade jumping,
which I'm excited about. I figure someone like you would be excited about because I always think back to like Damnation, like grabbing the OS, going up to rockets.
I wonder what routes it's gonna really open up, like, because I think that depending on how high you can fly, it's gonna change some maps significantly. All of a sudden, like people, let's say on live fire, can like nade jump up to Nest Bridge, or can they nade jump up like through, I don't know, like through tunnel up to top center, like. Those ones are probably too far, but you get the picture. Like, there's going to be some spots out there that people are going to be like, oh, I can now do this and clamber up. And that changes that power position, that area drastically.
At the same time, it's like, it's hard for me to think of practical use cases because, maybe it makes your rotation faster, but at the risk of being one shot when you show up, right? Because you're literally grenading yourself. I was trying to think of situations you could combine it with the OS and the vulnerability period of the OS. So, like, maybe on Aquarius, could you hold the OS, not proc it, You could bounce a grenade in a way that you could
flag or
proc it,
something?
yeah, front flag, and then leap up to into the base like that. That would be a really interesting way to enter the base. Like maybe the other team's coming off spawn, you've got a teammate coming in through car and P side, and then you come in the front door with full OS. Like that would be kind of sick.
Yeah. No, like I think you're right because the fact that you can bring that OS anywhere is like I think that's going to be an option. But yeah, we'll just have to see because it all comes into play like how high they're actually flying up because it could either be something that's not that impactful or it could be like, oh my gosh, this changes everything. And
Look at that bound damage.
6,800.
dude, damage is like the new kills style thing. Like I've been looking at those stats and I've just I see something like its last shot and I'm just like, holy crap!
Insane.
Like
It's like
the
constant.
gap of how much he's consistently putting out there, keeping people weak, winning his fights, and similarly here with like bound, just 6,800, just
It's
absolutely bonkers.
It might be the best measure of like how much actual impact or like pressure you applied throughout the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, and not all damage is equal. Sometimes you're shooting a player that's like irrelevant, but at the same time,
For the most part, it adds up at the
Yeah,
highest
for
level,
sure.
like because you're making somebody worst case, you're shooting somebody who's arguably irrelevant. You're at least having them have to back up a little bit. They no longer can be that anchor and lay down shots across the map. So I do think like damage is one of the most important stats out there. And yes, at even at the higher level, at some points it's gonna be all right. What's the more impactful damage you can be doing, or the more impactful fight? But
Well, it's like the fundamental, right? When I was learning how to play Halo, everyone was always saying like, you play off kills, right? It's like got the 4v3 advantage, you go. Like now, it's like as I watch more and more high-level gameplay, I feel like it's like changed to almost like you play off damage. So it's like
if you have a
once you
shield,
shot
back
in,
one person down,
you get one person off their position for 2 seconds. Like I saw Sentinels, it was a 49-47 game. They're down, like having to make a play on streets. Boo Boo Dubu puts 2 shots in on Royal 2 from bottom mid to the guy at Carbine, backs him down. They flood through bottom mid, like right away. It's like off 2 bullets. 2 bullets of damage is the difference between winning and losing the game. It's like it's that thin of a margin now, and it's super interesting. It's like that's why like players like Last Shot is super valuable. Like always getting damage, always outputting, and players that also minimize their damage taken. It's like it's a cool.
Well, I was gonna say the
thing to
minimize damage taken. Like I almost think a valuable stat to like start to look into is like damage taken per death.
I was just about to say that
Because it's like how often are you being that nuisance where you're taking a lot of damage but not dying, and all of a sudden you're taking so much attention, so much focus from the other team, and they're hunting you down, but they're getting shot by your teammates, and there's a big difference between taking damage and straight up dying and taking damage and buying time.
It makes me think of I had the unfortunate experience of playing against Cycle in matchmaking recently on Forbidden. The guy died only 2 times in the game and had taken the most damage on his squad. And it's because he's just surviving with a sliver of HP every single time.
Surviving or just challenge, when he's the anchor player on the map, he's like I can challenge until I'm still one shot. Like I have no fear of dying, and just maximizing every single life, every single moment.
It's so hard to play against.
Yeah.
Like,
Cycle's like to me he's like the newest player that's like defining his game with his like you see his game, it's like his own, right? It's,
has his own style.
He's like a Shotzi and Ola mixed together, and it's like it's really
that is
fun
special
to
when
watch.
you could like start to you used to be able to do that all the time, and you still can today. Is take a certain player's POV, not have their gamer tag on there, show it, and like. You're like, who is this? You're like, oh my god, that's Bound. Like, I don't even have to.
Bound is so easy in this
Bound
game,
is easy to spot out, and like, I agree. I think Cycle is very, very much has his own style and his own gameplay.
Pistola, I think, was like one of the easiest ones back in the day.
Yes.
You just watch it, like, that's definitely Pistola.
So what's interesting about this series right now, this is almost the inverse of what we saw at Arlington. OpTic was up 3-1 against Space Station, and then Space Station made their run largely through the Slayers. So it's like now OpTic's going to have to learn from that. The Slayers always been sort of like a very hot and cold series for them. Like I feel like they're one of the best Slayer teams, but when they do lose series, it's usually because they've lost the Slayers.
It's just tough. They have so much room for error here on the Space Station side, and I'm trying to look up what the last maps are again. I had them screenshotted over here earlier, but if they were to even win this, and that's if, they have to beat them on Empyrean CTF and then Slayer Live Fire.
I feel like SSG is very good at Empyrean CTF, but so is OpTic.
Yeah, they're all good. Everything about this point is almost like, all right, flip the coin 3 times. Can you get heads 3 times in a row? And like, yes, you can, but the chances ain't looking good for OpTic.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. I mean, literally just takes one victory, and this game is played with such small margins of difference in skill, especially between teams like this.
Whoa! What a reposition. Now went all the way from top B stairs through the bottom mid to the back entrance, and well, he's going to find himself a good bit of damage from that.
I feel like we've been seeing some of the more or most effective camos this event compared to like last event or two. I felt like last couple events, I just feel like I see people get eagle-eyed across the map as they run across the center, and people are now treating camo as like, I'm almost highlighted now. Like I can't take any open routes, and so they're taking very sneaky, suspicious routes that they're making these incredible plays. And so I feel like this has been the best camo play we've been seeing so far this tournament. Just across the board.
It just shows the adaptation of the players, right? I mean, they're just responding to the experience they had last event. Okay, now I have to be unpredictable. What route do they expect me to take? Like, what are the top 3 most likely expected routes, and then what's the curveball that I can choose instead to throw them off?
Yep.
Yeah, Boo Boo was talking about that, like, his route choice was like the #1 thing he thinks about with camo.
He's like, he pretends as if he doesn't have camo and that they can just see him. So he's still going to take a very sneaky route, right? So smart. By the way, doubled up lead for Space Station, and they have no intention of slowing down.
Yeah, and they have all the positions they want as well. So it's like right here, they're blocking Tram. They have B Street. They know they're going to be spun over towards Cafe or PD. So it's just, I don't know. It's going to be really difficult to break out of this one.
Stalker in the hands of Legend, too. Oh, that's a big stick without a trade.
Yeah. Somehow saves his life, like that rare random circumstance where he repulses him away.
Oh, that's always tough.
And it feels weird. It's like a Space Station are almost treating this as if they're at like the 35, 40 kill mark and like, all right, we can just trade out kills and close out this game. And it's like, sure, you can slow it down, but this is, you know, you have to get your kill or so and then still push that advantage, because OpTic will definitely get opportunities in this game if they fully pause it like this. OpTic will get a kill or two and get some spawn slays. So
well, OpTic's so good at the entry frag, right? It's like you let them be 4v4 for a while, like they're gonna coordinate so well. That's one thing. Whenever we do the listen-ins with them, the way that they talk to each other is top tier.
They have the most like stone wall defense, like the green wall. It's literally the green wall. The way they set up in Slayers, none of them are a free kill. They've always got each other's back. They really wait and they're patient for their opening. This is the first time I've seen Dead Zone get caught out like that, but maybe thought he had a window of timing. They just trade 2 for 2. Actually, that's a good trade for OpTic. I think it was 3 for 2 so far in this interaction.
Yeah, Dead Zone, I think, just trying to still keep that aggression up and be that playmaker. I've seen him be that playmaker so many times here for OpTic, and I think overall he does a great job at that. And I also like the fact that he doesn't just stop just because maybe his stats aren't reflecting at the moment. But if there's a difference between your stats not matching up well and your team still losing. And so, like, if your team's winning, I think you almost don't change a thing. If your team is losing, at some point you have to reevaluate, all right, what are the openings that I'm actually taking?
So one fun fact right now, there's Stellar, 10 assists. Everyone else combined in the lobby, 14 assists.
That's bonkers.
just max damage.
Doing everything, and right there, number 11. So everyone he's weakening, he's calling those out, and the players are listening.
It's so interesting. Like, we're seeing some of the best that we've seen Lucid play, but we're also seeing like Stellar in peak form. We're seeing Legend in peak form. Eco, I think, stepping up in big ways. Bound playing a lot more disciplined than I'm used to seeing him. I don't know. It's like,
yeah, feels like we're seeing the best of a lot of the best players this event. I feel like when we look at past ones, like, you know, even here where we saw FaZe not have the best placing, like Renegade playing out of his mind.
Crazy, yeah.
Same here with Lucid. Same here with Stellar. It's like so many of the big players are all having great games and great series.
Somebody, one of the top players said to me recently that like SSG is, when they're all playing their best, they are the best team, but they're just not always all playing their best. Like, it's just what it is, and we're kind of seeing that right now.
Yeah, I think most teams like to think if we're all playing our best, but yeah, there's an argument to be made, like, all right, whose best is the best?
Right, exactly. It's a fun thought experiment at the very least.
And it's like, how consistently are they playing their best? Whereas someone like, I do feel like Lucid and Stellar, in my opinions, I don't know, they're all so good, but
this looks like the
I feel like Stellar, in my opinion, has probably had the best consistent performances. One of the reasons why he probably got MVP for last year.
Yeah, highest highs, I think.
Yeah, and he's just, most consistently been like, all right, he's just dropping amazing numbers each game.
I think this is the end of the tournament, guys. This doesn't look even possible for OpTic to come back.
We are getting out of here early tonight, I guess.
Yeah, this is domination
Not what I
from
like to
Space
see.
Station. I know, I wanted a bit more, to be honest.
Like when I used to be a player, it's like, these are what I dream of. Like, I want to be in Space Station's position, like dominate, you know, win the winners bracket finals, dominate in the finals.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want to be when you're on Space Station or a Space Station fan. But as a overall Halo fan or a broadcaster, I'm like, I want to see this go the distance.
Yeah.
Oh, we could get what we want, right? You know,
Okay.
this could be the biggest comeback of all. They got camouflage.
Imagine.
You just got them 4 down. You know their spawns. Like, this is it. Like, this, you've got your win condition here if you're OpTic.
They are kind of all trapped in Tram. And, like, Tram might be a strong position, but I do not like when my whole team is
They're
just...
not trading out. They are not trading out. Oh.
It's a great collapse. They do lose number. Every single death is so consequential right now for OpTic.
Bound's being frustrating. Him just staying alive for this long is,
And him also just knowing that he could go front balcony just pisses me off. You know, it really does.
Right.
It's like it feels like that should be like the not safest spot at all. There should be somebody anchored over on the OpTic side, but Bound just knowing
it's like,
where everyone's at, like
why is that
it
high
just
ground
does that and gets a trade.
He just knows it. Yeah, nobody's watching the outside. It's like someone going front base in FFA. Like, it shouldn't work, but it actually works.
But
all
like
the
Tool
time.
said, you know, we might be primed for the greatest comeback right here.
Primed, bro. We might be primed. Nah, the delinquent duo, man. Bound Legend, it's just too good.
Yeah, they are just so nasty, and they're going here to close out. 48, 2 more to go.
Oh man.
Man, OpTic, four second places in a row after this.
Yeah, it has to be so frustrating.
It's so good and so bad. You know what I mean? Because like at some point, you know your tournament's going so much better than so many others out there.
Yeah.
But same time, there's nothing like first. And look at those Space Station fans. Space Station has done such an incredible job.
Yeah, their crowd
since entering Halo,
is good.
building up their fan base, supporting the community, hosting awesome events.
You gotta remember, like in year 1, they had a lot of struggles too, like as an organization.
Yeah,
and they
the
still were
original
able to build that fan base up.
They did such a great job. Huge kudos to Space Station, all the current roster players they have, all the trials and tribulations they went through as an org to get here and have this moment, and
Who's lifting it up?
hoisting the second trophy.
They gave it to the coach.
Kyle.
He's got enough trophies. Come on.
I like that they all knew who they wanted to give it to raise it up.
There we go. And just a photo op. One at a time. There we go.
That's so awesome, man.
Pass it along.
So, like, just shifting back to OpTic for a second. So at Arlington, they only lost to SSG, but then at London, they beat the crap out of SSG but lose to FaZe. And it keeps going back and forth to where they only lose to either SSG or FaZe.
Yeah, it's rough. They just can't seem to just get over that hump. But like you said, they're so close but so far. Because these ones, they haven't been where they need to be in these finals. In the grand finals, it's been a bit lopsided once the other team gets some steam.
Well, they're 2 out of 3 with Legend on the roster now.
That's impressive.
All right, let's listen in with the interview guy.
So coming out and winning today, it means a lot.
You guys definitely did lock in, okay? We know what this squad was capable of, and you guys fulfilled it yet again, get another championship. Now, I want to talk to your teammate, Bound. Now, you know, even when it came down to Stellar, a lot of people was even talking down on him a little bit. Talk to me about how crazy those allegations were and how happy you are to come out on top and get another victory.
Yeah, I mean, London wasn't our best showing. Definitely my worst event of my career. I think everyone kind of counted us out. I mean, after London, I was pretty much on the game all day, every day. I fucking love this shit. I don't know. It feels fucking great to prove people wrong. Get another one.
It definitely does feel great to prove people wrong, okay?
there.
And you guys have done it yet again. Move on down the line. Okay, I got Cap and
Talking
Nico in the building.
about
Big
that
brain
last
himself,
tournament,
man.
I thank you for
Talk
believing
to
us
me
still. I
about
saw you
what
guys
this
predicted me as
tournament was
first.
like.
And I was like, yeah, you're welcome. And then this one, I was like, oh, like, gotta go
I mean,
FaZe.
this
FaZe looking good
tournament,
last event. So I just know this time he's like,
put in so
Walshy
much work,
sucks.
previously,
Blaze sucks. This person.
We're also, like, recency
Definitely did
bias,
show
right?
off
Like,
here.
I always,
Atlanta,
it's
did
hard
they
to root
really
against
show
so
off?
strong.
yeah, it really is.
Like,
Truly
you have a
did,
team that
okay?
wins 3 events in a
Now,
row,
come
and then
on,
you look at
let's make some
how
noise for
somebody's
Legend, all right?
newly playing the game over the last event or two. You're like, the game changed a bit. Like, until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
The first was awesome, but talk to me about how the second one feels.
I mean, I'm very happy because like we proved people wrong. Like no one saw us winning this. We had like one bad tournament and like everyone forgets like how good we are. This win is good, but we're gonna put the work in for the next tournament.
All right, okay. He said it's not over just yet. All right, Salt Lake City coming up, and the team wants to come away with that
I'm so glad that Legend has been like streaming.
All right, let's talk to
it's
Coach.
fun to watch.
Okay, Coach.
I love the
You
fact
won a
that we
lot
got
of these,
like
but I know this one feels
international
special.
player
What
like
does it make
that
you feel?
out here and just winning.
Definitely
Crazy,
like
right?
in the
These
past.
guys are incredible.
Well, I wanna hear
just
Kyle's
honored
answer,
to
and
get to,
I'll
like,
recap
be a
that.
part of it with them. So definitely a solid one.
Definitely is, okay? Now just kind of talk to me about what you guys went through from the last event here, and how does it feel that everything in which you guys worked on came to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, London was a big disappointment for us. We knew we weren't playing even close to our best, and the team competition is so strong. I think that's demonstrated here especially. But, we'll enjoy this one tonight, but it's on to the next one.
It is on to the next one. It's your home event. Now, lastly, I want you to say something to the fans here and close us out here. What you want to say to these amazing SSG fans in the crowd?
I mean, you guys are literally the best. Shout out all the fans, the staff, the org, everyone that couldn't make it here as well. We appreciate you all, and make sure you guys show up in
Do you
Salt
think it's a
Lake.
real tattoo? Or you think
You
it's a
heard him.
different
think
Make
it's real.
sure
It looks
you
real.
show up
After
in
London, though,
Salt
look at his
Lake
other arm. He's got
for
phase one.
SSG
Check it out.
home event. One more time, Atlanta, make some noise for the champions, Space Station Gaming!
Wow. These guys played lights out all weekend long. I mean, they dropped, I think, one game in the bracket. That was just that one game.
Just that one? That's right, because it was 3-0s the first 3 matches they had.
Yeah.
Did they have any problems in pools?
I think they might have
I
lost.
think they dropped a game in pools to quadrant.
I think they might have went to game 5, or maybe just one game. I don't know.
I
think
think
it's just
I'm pretty sure they
quadrant,
dropped like a
just one.
CTF to quadrant, if I recall correctly. It was like an Argyle or Empyrean CTF.
And they just look so strong. It's so crazy that it's like the team that's like counted out for their performance. Like after Arlington, people are like, maybe FaZe isn't like doing that great. Like they didn't look that good. They won the next event. Like SSG gets what, top 6 at London?
Yeah, and I
Top
also
4?
wonder like how it goes for teams when they're studying other teams and players. I know like obviously we were in a unique scenario on like Final Boss in previous years, but like I remember as soon as I like lost a series or like lost a match like Carbon or into Straight, I'd be like, all right, let me see what these guys are doing so I can actually pick up on individual tendencies. And then, what would be a tournament before where neighbor on Straight is getting away every single time and taking these routes. I'm like, all right, I know the route he's going to take when he's weak here on midship. And so I wonder if that comes into play at all for some of these teams or players. Like, when you're at the very top, you're getting studied harder without a doubt.
Maybe that's why they're giving the trophy to Kyle, because maybe Kyle did some of that groundwork for them to give them such better success this event,
Yeah, I feel like the more that I see Halo Infinite and the trajectory of what competitive has looked like in it, the more impressive the dynasties in Halo's history have been to me, because it's like it is so hard to go back to back.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it since what, OpTic in the first tournament of year 2.
FaZe went 2 back-to-back in season 2, I believe.
No, they didn't. They lost Fort Worth. And
Was it just like every other for FaZe? Kind of?
Yeah, it was like every other, wasn't it? Like what was before Worlds? It was Fort Worth, right?
I think. Didn't they win DreamHack and then Fort Worth, I thought?
No, they lost Fort Worth. That was OpTic's tournament. They lost one series they got top 6 at Fort Worth.
Okay.
They got top 6 before they won Worlds. That's why almost everyone counted them out at Worlds.
Yeah.
I could have sworn they won 2 in a row, but I could be wrong. But yeah, it's very hard to win 2 in a row. So the last 4 have been.
Oh,
FaZe.
they won Arlington DreamHack Dallas.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Arlington DreamHack. So yeah, it's gone FaZe at Worlds, and then SSG, then FaZe, then SSG, and in every single event, OpTic got second.
That's a big curse. Has there been a team like that before that's had 4 second places?
Probably
in a
back
row?
in our era, right? I mean, Carbon and Straight kind of
like-
flipped spots.
Yeah, I feel like they kind of were vying for second a lot of times throughout some years, but I don't know if anyone's been kind of
Cursed for that
cursed
long.
that hard. Yeah, but
It's tough.
it's also like I said, they're not feeling good. They're also not feeling god awful like some other teams are. There's
Right.
there's other teams that are getting on this one being like, all right, like who am I talking to after this event? Like, is there any potential of team changes? Are we
Right.
like working this through? Like OpTic are in a safe spot. They're like, well, we're close enough. Like I'm not worried about like them making some sort of drastic team change. But also, nothing feels good outside of first place at this point. After you won a tournament, nothing feels good outside of first place.
I think
Right.
somebody feeling bad right now is Shopify. Haven't won a game on Sunday the last 2 tournaments. It's tough. Sorry, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I think this Shopify Rebellion team is really interesting to me because it felt like everything was going right for them this tournament, and then Sunday shows up and they go 0-6 again. Like, from your experience, like, did you have immediate success on Sunday, or is it like, do you think Sunday is just like a much harder day to play well?
I've always seemingly had like some immediate success on Sunday.
He's a freak of nature, man.
Yeah, it's like you are like, you know, the GOAT. So it's like,
But yeah, I don't know like what their change needs to be. I would almost recommend in their shoes. I don't know what they're doing to warm up to get in these spots, but I feel like what they should be doing in a case like this is, if they're getting to these winners finals and falling short 2 times like this, they need to change up something with their warm-up routine as they go into Sunday. Whether that's just saying, hey, let's ask one of the losers bracket team finals if they're willing to scrim for an hour before they go on their stage. So they're both getting practice, and yes, then they can choose game types that they wouldn't have to play each other in LB finals. And so they get like that real intensity that both of them need. Maybe they just need like something like that under their belts first, like get something where they need to get like some success or something rolling, because what I've been seeing from them is they come in, they lose a game, they lose another game, they lose a third game, go to the lower finals, lose 3 games in a row, and not once do they get that first win on their belt or just like feel a little good or a little confident. And I don't know if you need to get that in scrims. I don't know what their warm-up routine is, but got to shake up something a little bit.
Yeah, confidence is big, but I was going to say also, like, all the games that they played today were super close. Like,
yeah, compared to London, like London was a complete blowout for them on Sunday. This time, they had a lot of back and forth in their games.
Yeah, it's like every single game was winnable, so I think they need to also just focus back on, like, okay, how do we close out games better? Like, what are we doing wrong in those final moments? What are
like that recharge one, like, what do we do there when it slows down?
Yeah.
It's like you almost have to think, like, how different this tournament would have been if they did get that 50-49 win.
Yeah, you win a recharge Slayer, and all of a sudden you're going to a Game 4 or Game 5, and who knows how the rest of this bracket shakes out. Maybe they're in the Grand Finals. Like,
that's how I felt about Pure. When they went down 0-2 and they won that 3rd game, suddenly it was like, oh, okay, like, they don't feel the pressure anymore. And even when they started going down big time in Game 4, they make the big comeback happen. I just think OpTic Game 5 Slayers are just like a final boss to beat.
It used to be one of their tougher game types, but they really went back to the drawing board. Now they're like the most organized and like tactical Team Slayer team. Like, they're just always controlling the pace. They always have an airtight defense. Nobody ever overextends and dies alone. Whereas like almost every other team, there's always like one player that like might overextend or just like find themselves in a spot where they can't get any help, and then that ends up collapsing and changing the whole complexion of the game. So,
well, for you, Walsh, is there any concern for the home team this time? Like FaZe, top 6. Last time they got top 6 was Fort Worth.
I don't know if there's really any concern there. Space Station are looking good. They had a rough London, won the other 2. I felt like they did fine because they won their last time with the home crowd, obviously. So, yeah, I feel like not too big of a worry, but it's more of a concern on our team's going to like maybe study them more and pick apart certain things, because people definitely prep for specific matches, especially when you're as good as like the top 3. Teams that are in that pool are going to say, all right, if they feel like they can actually take down a Space Station or an OpTic or a FaZe, they're going to be like, all right, like let's study those exact game types we have against them in that pool play round or in that winners bracket round 1.
Well, Salt Lake City, very quick on the approach. I believe it's only like 5 weeks until we're over in Utah.
That's real quick, yeah.
So it's like there's an open series tournament this Saturday. If there are going to be team changes, they have to be fast. Yeah. Is there any players that you saw that throughout the tournament today that you're like, okay, like maybe they're going to get their next call up?
Man, it's tough because Shopify and Pure are both so close. You almost like don't want to mess with that mixture at all. You almost don't want to. But same time, if they're like already having that much success, so they're like, all right, do we make this one little flip? Is there just somebody out there who's maybe that right fit on that team? There's potentially that. I don't foresee that though.
Maybe complexity.
I would say everything outside of like the top 6 is not safe. The reality is just like you can still take like a core 3 members of one of those teams, swap in one other person, and maybe that magic or that clicks a little bit better.
Yeah. Sentinel's probably not going to change. They did finish top 8, but they had the worst bracket imaginable.
They've had bracket wise. They've run into some ringers, man. Like, have all their losses been to like OpTic, FaZe, SSG?
They did lose to
Shopify and Pools.
And Shopify, okay. But it's like, all right, like it's tough because they'll have these losses where they're losing to the teams that place 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and then and then their placing's like 7th, 8th.
Right.
Like I guess the time, what was it? It was Shopify. Then they lost to FaZe and lower, right?
They lost to SSG in winners, and then FaZe and
lower.
lower. Yeah, they played
Like,
FaZe for top 6.
Like, what are you supposed to do there?
Yeah, it's tough on that one. So I don't know. Like I think Sentinels at some point that's really unfortunate because you would expect if you're losing those rosters, like you're placing 4th place or something. Same time too, you need to get some of those upsets. Like you need to be able to take one of them down. If you're getting 2 or 3 chances at them throughout a tournament, you got to win one of those at some point if you want to be in contention to be one of the best teams.
The simple fact is, like, where their pro point situation is, like, they're not going to ever have an easy road. And it's like there's no easy way to fix that. I believe we are potentially waiting to see if we can get an interview with one of the players from Space Station. If they come up, they come up. If not, we'll just ride it out for a little bit and get it through. I've had a fantastic time here. I'll say this was one of the better. I was cautiously optimistic coming in. Now I'm fully optimistic after seeing everything. Crowd was great. FaZe was a great host. The arena style was awesome. The open bracket was fantastic. We were able to watch all that. The international talent at this event was incredible. We were watching the open bracket. Mindfreak didn't make it out, but every single time we talked to a team that just played Mindfreak, they said the Australians are very, very good. So I feel like international Halo at one of its best levels right now.
Yeah, the Aussies definitely like the best roster they've ever formed right now. That region is not in a great spot right now, and they kind of decided that we're just going to take our 4 best players and make a super team and send them over to America and show them what we're made of. And they certainly did. They were literally Game 5 against Native and winners, and then Game 5 against Team Lethal Fox and losers.
That's wild. Imagine if they had taken Native and Barcode's like, man, do I just choose the wrong rosters or what? Who do I got to be sticking with?
He's like,
and I wonder what that credit is to, because I think the biggest thing that's changed in international is it used to just be the top 12 teams in the U.S. were just better shots than basically all the players on the top EU or any other foreign team. And I wonder if it's just this new generation just having more access to a controller and more games, being able to play. Maybe it's practicing like an Apex or a Fortnite or all these other things, getting more reps on a controller at a high level of play. I don't know what else it could be, because I feel like at some point you need to be able to just sharpen up against those individual shots and those skills, because that's the first piece of the puzzle if you're going to have any chance of competing against the top teams here.
These guys can all definitely shoot very well. Their movement's insane too. I don't know, when I think of Quadrant, you just watch any player on Quadrant play, or even ITV, they are so individually talented. It's they can keep up with literally the best in the world. They've taken all the best teams to Game 5s, it seems like, at one time or another. ITB took Shopify to Game 5 at London, but ultimately finished top 16 because they lost a tiebreaker in the pool. It's just it's so unpredictable right now because everyone's so good. And yeah, I think that's an interesting thought experiment. Fortnite.
When did they all get so good?
Yeah,
because it just used to be, clearly it used to be talent bred talent. It's more all right, when you're in the U.S. or North America, you get to play against all these players on a consistent basis, so you get to practice against how good that is and try to surpass that. Whereas out there, they were able to somehow cultivate that on their own without having a massive influx of NA players and top players out there. Because just playing them at a tournament every once in a while isn't enough. You need that on a regular basis to get that good.
The thing is, a lot of these internet, SLG, this might surprise you, but he was competing in big team. It was a competitive big team battle league in France that was only French players, but several big teams would show up and compete, and they made a whole production. we interviewed SLG
incredible
on the podcast, and he showed us the videos and translated the commentary for us, and it's he's literally been thinking about Halo at a high level since he was 11 years old, and now he's 26 or something. So it feels back then it was really just time in, I think, and if you play it all day every day, your time in is rapidly expanded. But at this point, a lot of these guys have been playing Halo for 15 years. We're just now seeing them get to their peak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so rare in Halo to have anyone nobody really jumps into Halo and has this level of success. Maybe Woodham is the only one I can think of that's
but he
has
Splitgate,
which is similar skills and such. But for the most part, for you to start to break into those upper echelons of Halo, you have to have years and years and years into Halo, period.
I'd love to see the revival of the LAN network in some way. Just start getting these international teams here early so that they can actually get LAN scrim time against teams. Because when we talked to the Aussies, they said we just didn't play for 2 months. And then we came a week early, and we scrimmed as hard as we could for that week against good teams, and they thought they made a big difference.
Yeah, and they're like, if we could have learned that same rate instead of just doing it a week over the course of multiple weeks or months, like I'm sure so many international players haven't reached their fullest potential just because of the region they're in. It's just the reality of it.
All right, well, Salt Lake City's in the future. Worlds, only 2 more events this year. Things are going to be insanely different from this tournament to the next 5 weeks for these teams to prepare with all those changes that are coming to the sandbox. Hopefully the new maps get added at some point. You know, I would love to see Origin in. Big Coliseum fan. I'm ready
Halo
for
5
it to
kid.
be in.
Yeah.
I'll take the Halo 5 credit. I think it's the greatest flag map of all time.
Okay.
I played some 8s on it. Very excited for it to come back at some point. This has been such an exciting time of the HCS.
It really has.
Just like, I don't remember a time, because I came in from that Halo 2 anniversary era, but I don't remember a time where it felt like any team can just beat any team at any given time.
Yeah, it's like the top 3 are pretty solidified there, but at the same time,
but it felt like there was a big gap before. Now it's like it's those top 3, they're still there, but it's like 4 and 5 right now between like Shopify and Pure, and even Sentinel's kind of inching up there. Like they have chance to take those top 3 out.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like anyone else outside the top 3 prior to London could take out the top 3.
And then you got ITB and Quadrant, who I feel like could beat anybody at any time as well. It's just like there's so many teams that I want to put 8 different teams in the top 6. You know what I mean? Or 10 different teams in the top 6. It's just so hard. But this has been awesome. It's been awesome to sit on the couch with you as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me up.
Yeah, I've always, ever since I started casting, I'm like, man, it'd be cool if I got to cast with Walshy someday, you know? So this has been awesome.
Yeah, Walsh, I mean, it's like you've been here for a long time. If you need to get up, I know it's like we're heading to the end. The space station boys are pretty busy, so.
Yeah, do we have an interview lined up?
They're still trying to track them down. So
okay. They
like,
got probably a lot of
come
hands to shake and things to sign, I'm sure.
So I'm thinking maybe we go take a quick break.
Yeah.
So if they come back, we'll see them. If not, we'll be back at some point, get you guys back on camera. So, hey, watch these replays. We'll be back. Hopefully an interview with Space Station when we are. Thank you guys all for watching. Walsh, any last words for you?
Let's see. No, I guess I'll see you all in Salt Lake City. Thank you to the LVT crew and all of you for everything you do for the scene. Like, I don't think our scene would be as strong without all the work that you guys put in that, you know, I think is, I wouldn't say underappreciated. I would feel like, I just wanted to say, yeah, it's really appreciated for everything you guys do. Yeah.
Thank you.
And so, yeah, if you're already in the chat and haven't already, you know, whether you retweet the streams in the future or want to sub to the channel, support it, I think that's those are great ways to show their appreciation for all these guys do. And I think I got my sub anniversary coming out. I'll redo it here. Yeah.
Hey, there we go. A live resub.
A live resub. See?
On the stream for
There
Walsh.
we go. I gotta pull it up. I gotta pull up the stream. See? I don't know if it lets me show my.
It's gonna get the live on camera.
There we go.
Hey, the Walsh.
Live on
Let's
camera.
go.
There we go.
All right, folks. Thank you, Walsh, for the resub. If you want to do it, hey, get it in the chat. When we're back, we'll close out the show. Maybe an interview with Space Station Gaming. Don't go anywhere.